is a very eventful day. We're coming into the hospital for the first time without an appointment. It's pretty exciting. Hi, Rainy 阿姨。你来西雅图来了多久？
刚刚到。
4个钟头都没有，我们就在医院了。
宝宝想跟你说你好。
对，宝宝想见到我，早点见到我。
Why are we here, Jackie?
My mucus plug might be coming out, so they wanted me to come to triage to see my condition and how the babies are doing. But Lily and Josie, if you're watching this in the future, I really hope you stay in for another 4 weeks, okay?
So we are in the emergency OB room, and we've been here since 9:30, and it is currently 12:26. At around 10:30, the doctor did a cervical check on Jackie, and it was 1 centimeter wide and dilated and about 3 centimeters deep.
Long, the cervix.
Long to see the baby. And then they're like, it's probably nothing, but why don't you stay for 2 hours? And then during those 2 hours, on those screens, it was like every 8-9 minutes would be a contraction, but Jackie wouldn't feel anything, right? Yeah, like it was kind of just like menstrual cramps. But then I was like, that's pretty consistent. And it's like every 8-9 minutes for like a minute, very consistently. And now the doctor just checked again, and it's about 3 centimeters wide and
3 centimeters dilated.
3 centimeters dilated, and
The cervix is now 65% effacement.
yes.
So the doctor came in initially for the first cervix check, and I was 1 centimeter dilated, and the cervix was 3 centimeters long. So then he was like, oh, just because of the way you're able to talk and basically be upbeat, he didn't think that it was anything major. So then we were actually going to go home, and he went to talk to the fellow or the attending, and the attending told the resident, oh, maybe you should just see if she's down to stay a couple hours, see if the cervix changes at all. And so the resident came back, and he asked us if we're okay with staying for a couple hours from 10 to midnight, and we're like, yeah, why not, because we're already here. And then it's been a couple hours, so they checked my cervix, and to everybody's shock, I'm at 3 centimeters dilated and 65% effacement, and the doctor and the nurse were absolutely shook because they were like, yeah, just looking at you, like talking, you're able to talk to me and not focus on your contractions or anything, even though the monitor was showing like every 9 minutes or so. But I went from 1 centimeter dilated to 3 within a couple hours. So I asked them, I was like, does that mean we're probably gonna stay here? So we'll see what they say.
I mean, it was very interesting because this time they didn't put up the stirrups. They just told you to put your ankles together, your heels together, and then open up your vagina. And then he went in there, and this time he was probably in there for 3 times as long. And I was like, dude, what's going on? Why are you staying in there for so long? He's like,
I noticed that too because it was deeper, the cervical check, and the first time it was really, really fast. So very interesting. But hey, my prayer was that I didn't want to be induced, so this could be a good news. We'll see how it goes.
So this is our room. It's 563. Come on in. Alright, walk in, a nice little curtain. Got a beautiful pregnant lady here. Say hi, Jackie. What is this?
This is my IV. It has penicillin going into my IV. And then I have intermittent monitoring for both the babies and my contractions. And then they also gave me a shot in my buttocks for accelerating the lungs for these babies since I'm at 33 weeks and 4 days.
Let's go. Some monitors. We've got baby A, baby B, and these are the contractions. That mountain's a contraction, that's a contraction. So we're at about 1 every 8. Got the USL in the corner, rainy. Got some birth toys, a little warmer, nice mirror. Let's check out the bathroom. Ooh, bathtub with jets. Fancy, fancy. And of course, can't forget the emergency pole.
It's 4:15 and we were about to go to sleep at around 3ish. They finished like all the medications in the previous clip that we were sharing, and I just wanted to go to the bathroom, and suddenly I started leaking fluid, and it was a little bit warm, and it was just drips at first, and then it started gushing, and it was warm, and then luckily my nurse was actually in here checking my continuous monitoring, and then I was able to ask her to come look at it. So then she came into the bathroom. It was on the ground, the fluid that broke, and she tested for amniotic fluid, and it was like bright blue, which means my water broke. So now we're waiting for the doctor to come in and do my next cervix check. Last time they checked at midnight, it was at 3 centimeters. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. Stay tuned.
When you go back home, you will not have kiddos.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's insane, because literally, like, you saw me when we first came in, and it was like, oh yeah, it's probably
You have this
fine.
new kid, you're so
Yeah,
mom,
yeah.
looking so chill.
That's nuts. Thank you.
labor.
Thank you.
Hey, Dr. Noto, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen a woman 3 centimeters dilated so joyful?
I don't know about joyful. She is pretty happy.
Oh, thanks.
She is. They're usually way more painful, I will say that. You people are usually...
I've heard people get
ex-
epidural at like 3 centimeters.
Everybody is just so different. Like, it is so hard to describe to you the variety that we see.
Wow. I also love your earrings, by the way. They're very pretty. Oh. That one felt long, and it felt more tense. Yeah.
Jackie, where are you feeling like the pain you had your contraction?
Yeah, now it's like a 6.5. 6. No. Oh. It's like the really bottom. Like, it's like really, 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 really tense menstrual cramps. Yeah. Yeah, really low. Like, I actually don't feel it at the top. It's like all concentrated at the bottom. I am 6 centimeters dilated. It is 10:40 right now a.m. and we'll see how it goes. We just did an ultrasound and anatomy scan, so waiting for the result. And a contraction's coming.
90% efface. Oh, is it happening? Oh, it's happening. We already called the anesthesia to come. We talked to Dr. Wong, who seems extremely experienced. Dr. Wong went to Harvard.
Yeah, it might be coming soon. Yeah, it's coming.
Okay, I'm just gonna take a pause right here. You're doing great. You're doing really excellent. Great job. Okay, I'm gonna start moving again. You're doing really great. Good job. I'm listening to you too.
A contraction.
Okay, pause again. You're doing excellent.
Oh, this one's hard.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Good job.
Oh, this one's hard. This one's so intense.
Good job.
Good job, Jackie.
Girls coming. You're doing amazing. It is.
Good job, Jackie.
Really great. Hang
Wow,
on.
this is really painful.
Good job, Jackie.
Good. Wow, why is this one so painful? Why is this so painful? Ooh. Ooh.
You're
Ooh.
doing so great.
Ooh.
You're doing really, really well.
Ooh.
Okay, I'm gonna start moving again.
Hold on.
Okay, I'll wait.
Ooh. Ooh.
Okay, project. Sorry. Let's try to go. Just getting out.
Just ready in like 10 seconds. Okay, ready.
So excellent. Okay, we're gonna start moving again. Just real still. Okay, we're right where we need to be. Don't move.
Didn't move right now. Slow breathing.
Don't move. Don't move. Might feel something here.
Do you feel anything?
Yeah.
What do you feel?
Sting. Is that normal?
Hold still. You're doing great.
Is that normal?
Yep.
Sting.
It should go away in just a minute when I'm done here. Just a sec.
Very slowly. Slowly.
Okay, you can move however you need now. There's no needle in your back.
Good job. Good. You can move. It's okay. Slowly.
Good job, Jackie.
Did amazing.
Are we finished with the epidural?
So don't reach back.
don't
It's just
touch
that
this
catheter that's in there now.
Yeah, so she's securing it. Yeah, they need to take it. You did good job.
That was not easy, actually.
I know. Yeah. It's not easy.
You did amazing.
Mm-hmm.
You made it look easy.
Thank you.
You did amazing. So sometimes those spaces they can kind of trick us. When you feel your back, it feels like it's going to be a very short distance. It ended up being a much longer distance than we expected. So it can just take a little while, but you did so excellent.
Can I move now?
Yes, so don't reach back. I'm going to tape, but you can move however you need if you want to sit up.
I think the crunching was the hardest part because I missed
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, and you have 2 babies.
Yeah.
You did excellent.
Thank you.
Yeah, use all that.
just want to let you know.
It kind of changes the pace of things when we know you're completely dilated.
And the baby's fine. Thank you so much.
All right,
You took your
everything
meds?
needs to get
Okay.
disconnected from this IV pole. Anesthesia didn't disconnect her?
No.
Okay.
Michaela, was that?
There you go. Thank you.
Yep, moving.
Okay, there's a lot of stuff on the bed, guys.
Okay, again. Your babies are safe. You're safe. We're gonna move quick, okay?
1 second. Do I not need this anymore?
You can leave that behind.
Alright, hold ahead.
Thank you.
Yeah. 1 sec.
Not, Michaela, do you have meds with you?
Yep, they're in my pocket.
Okay, it's gonna be really bright, and there's gonna be a lot of us working quickly.
So you can't videotape during the
Okay.
C-section. Yay! Happy mama of 2 kids.
Good morning. It's 10 a.m., March 4th. Wow. And we are fully in the postpartum recovery room now, and it's been a wild journey. We got into the hospital at 9:30, almost 10 o'clock at night on March 2nd. And that was a Monday. And what was crazy is that I had no idea that we were going to give birth a half day later, pretty much. On Monday, I did my regular routine. I actually went to get breakfast at the office because I was so hungry. And then throughout the whole day, I stayed there and then just basically did research on daycares since I'm on maternity leave, short-term disability leave before I give birth. So with that said, Esther actually spontaneously texted me at 1 o'clock and she was like, "Hey, what are you doing? Like, I'm thinking about bringing Elliot to Bellevue Downtown Park. Can we hang out? Are you free?" And it was the most perfect timing because we hung out from 2 to pretty much 4:30, and then we walked around the park a little bit, and then we got Molly tea, and then we went to Nordstrom so that Esther could get some Jenny and Jack stuff for Elia. And then after that, I went back home, and my doula actually came at around 5 o'clock, 5:30, and she came just for her second prenatal follow-up. And it was basically like a 2-hour session, and that was supposedly the last session that we were going to have before going to the next time I'll see her, which is when we would literally give birth. And she is there to support me for any time in early labor to even 2 hours after postpartum in the recovery room. So yeah, it's
The expectation was like March 27th was going to be our 37 weeks.
Yeah.
So we didn't expect to see her for another 25 days.
Yeah. I was really pushing to try to make it to 36, 37 weeks. And I totally thought that was going to be a month before I will see her next. And then actually right when she got to our home for the second and final follow-up, I used the restroom and there's a little bit of pinkish, very light pink discharge and mucus, and I freak out because I've never seen blood at all throughout the entire pregnancy. And I saw that wiping and I was like, oh, blood is not a great sign. I always freak out whenever I see blood or something that's not supposed to be there, I guess. And it was super light. So my doula saw it and then she said, "Oh yeah, that's your mucus plug, or at least part of it is your mucus plug. But that doesn't mean you're going to go into labor in 2 days. It could be weeks, and a lot of people lose it and then still carry on for a month." So I was like, "Oh, sweet. Like at least the body's changing, the cervix might be changing, but at least I probably might have another few weeks." And then we do the prenatal session, and throughout it, it's all about like breathing techniques. And then she walks us through like breathing in for 4 seconds and then breathing out for 6 seconds, and then visualization techniques like waves when you're going through contractions, and other very helpful tips. And it was funny because I think a lot of it is so useful. There's just so much information, and she was able to walk us through a lot of it. And then we also showed her our downstairs nursery and everything that we had set up. And I think we actually perfectly set up the nursery just in time. Like we were so in nesting mode around 32 weeks, and Lawson like built everything from the strollers to what else was there? Like toys and cabinets. And yeah, so he did such a great work. And then I was also like doing laundry and cleaning and folding and washing all of the baby clothes.
He probably
So
washed and folded, what, 200 pieces?
yeah, it took 3 hours. No, probably 3 hours each time. So probably like 9 hours total to
And
like
sorting them, putting them into
yeah,
the right cubbies,
labeling.
labeling, because we got um a lot of hand-me-downs, which was super clutch. I mean, we also bought like
Hand-me-downs from Facebook.
at Goodwill even.
Yeah, yeah.
So so you washed all of those, and not all of them were like the same age, so you had to
Yeah.
sort those.
Yeah.
So nice
We
job.
had, thanks. We had sizes preemie all the way up until even 12 to 24 months. So we have a good variety, but of course, we'll probably need to buy some more preemie things. But yeah, so we ended up doing that literally like right before she came. So up until the days right before she came, and
They
that
say-
was such a no, right before
Oh,
Lisa came.
yes.
And then it was such a blessing because I can't imagine going home now with all of our laundry undone or any of the cabinets and strollers not set up. So it was such a blessed, perfect timing. Like, I think your body also knows like when nesting mode is ready and it's time. So somehow my body even knew, even though it was so early, and most people don't nest until like 35 weeks for twins and then 38 weeks, 39 weeks for singletons. So I guess my body really did know, and we were able to do it in time, which was so clutch and such a blessing. But anyway, so Lisa finished our prenatal session at around 8:30, and I go in to the bathroom again and wipe again. And this time it's just dark red. It's not like blood, but it's like darker red, mucusy, and it's a lot more mucus discharge. So then I freak out because I'm like, oh, this is so much darker. And this was so fast in like 2 hours. I don't know what's going on. I still had a little bit of hope, like, oh, it's just discharge, like Lisa told me already, right? And that it'll be fine, like it'll be another few weeks. And then just when I finish using the bathroom, my postpartum nanny actually arrives at our home, and she deliberately flew from SF to LA to Seattle to come and stay with us basically a few weeks early so that she can settle in before the babies come and we can transition her. And she would also just help us with like any baby setup if needed, or just to like help me learn how to hand express or collect colostrum, for example, later on. But she arrived just when I had the thicker discharge. So we all start eating dinner just because she just landed and we haven't eaten dinner yet. And I show them the photo, show my postpartum nanny, Lawson, my parents, the photo of the discharge. And she says, okay, let's go in for a triage. Just call the doctor. Even though I'm not having any contractions or any feeling at all, just go and see how it goes. We just do a triage and then you can always just come back home, just to make sure that the kids are safe and everything. And the kids were moving. They're moving just fine in my tummy. So I was like, oh yeah, this is no problem. Like, we don't need to pack anything. We'll be back in a couple hours. So then I call triage and they give me the option to go to my regular OB, which is in Swedish Issaquah, or to go to Swedish First Hill. And then I told them, because there's a higher level of NICU, should I just go to First Hill? Just in the off chance that we need it or something like that. And I totally did not expect to actually need it. But we ended up going to First Hill and we all go, me, Lawson, and our postpartum nanny who just arrived. We go to triage in the labor and delivery emergency room. And they initially check my cervix after about, we check in at 10ish, and then they put me on ultrasounds. I'm going to continue the story as Lawson is setting up our food. So basically, I go in and they put me on a bunch of NST, which is non-stress test detectors. So there are 3 of them that they always put on me, which is 2 of them are to detect fetal monitoring. So basically, they're the heartbeats and how they're doing in my stomach, and based off of contractions, how their bodies react to the contractions, if there are any, and also how they react to just normal movement, just to make sure that, yeah, their hearts are able to regulate well and that they're not stressed in my stomach. So I also have another monitor that's for contractions as well. And that's just monitoring my own contractions. And then they monitor for me around half an hour. So then at 11 o'clock, the resident comes in and he says, I'll be checking your cervix just to make sure, but looking based off of the way you're talking, you're not feeling any contractions or anything like that, even though on the monitor it's actually picking up intervals and frequencies of contraction per 8 to 9 minutes. So he was saying that, oh yeah, like, you're smiling, you're talking, and you're happy, so I don't expect anything. You should probably be able to go home in around an hour or so, just after we finish this initial checkup. And so he did a cervical exam. I was so nervous because I haven't done one before and I've heard it was really painful. But it actually wasn't bad at all. I'd rate it like a maybe uncomfortableness, not even pain, like 1 out of 10.
Did it feel good though?
The first one wasn't bad.
Did it feel good though?
No, because it wasn't.
That's good.
No, because it wasn't like that. Anyway, so I did the cervical exam and I actually ended up being 1 centimeter dilated already. And the cervix was 3 centimeters long, which means it's still pretty open, or sorry, it's still pretty long, which means that there's still enough time and enough length for a cervix to dilate more and also efface more, which means it gets shorter and shorter. So then because of that, he was like, oh yeah, these numbers look good. Even though it's 1 centimeter dilated already, a lot of people can stay 1 centimeter dilated for weeks or days at least. So then he says, you can go home. I'll check with my attending doctor and see what he thinks and go from there. So then we go and we wait at continuing to do the NST just to monitor, and the contractions are so frequent or consistent of every 8 minutes on the graph. Even though I don't necessarily feel it myself, they're consistently spiking every 8 minutes in intervals. And I didn't think much of it again because you can have contractions anytime and your body's just prepping. So then the resident comes back and he says, "Oh, so how do you feel about staying for like a couple hours just to monitor your cervix to see if it dilates anymore?" And then he says, "I don't expect it to dilate at all because you're not feeling the contractions. You're doing great. You're smiling and joyful. So it's okay. You should be fine. But just to be safe and have precautions, how do you feel about staying for a couple hours?" And I was like, "Well, we're already there. Might as well just make sure we're okay and that there's no more dilation." So given another couple hours that we stay at the hospital in the emergency labor and delivery room, they come back and he checks my cervix again. And this time it was a little bit longer of a cervical check and he went fairly deeper. So then I was like, "Oh, this is interesting. I wonder if anything has changed." It was not that long of a cervical check, but it was probably maybe like a few more seconds or so. But I noticed a difference. And then
It looked pretty long. He was in there for like
a
20
minute.
seconds.
So then he tells me the result. I didn't expect anything. He even before the cervical exam says, "Oh, yeah, don't worry about it. Like, just based on your conversation, you're able to have great conversation and be super happy. So, yeah, I don't expect much of a change at all." And then he does this cervical exam and then he says, "Oh, you are actually now 3 centimeters dilated and 67% effaced." So that is a lot of progression within just 2 hours of time. Going from 1 centimeters dilation to 3 centimeters, and then from like no effacement at all of the cervix to 67%. So he's like, "You're probably going to stay here." I was expecting also like just stay here to monitor, and that's kind of the vibe that he gave off because he says, "We'll just see because we want to stall the labor and see if you can stall and just wait it out because we don't want labor to progress since they're only 34 weeks and 4 days at that point." So I actually end up moving to the labor and delivery room itself, and I stay there in the hopes that I can just take a few different kinds of medication. There were 3 that I actually took. One was penicillin for antibiotics, and then the second one one of them was to stall labor, which was a pill. Yes, right. One of them was to stall labor, which was a pill, which means they're trying to have me hold out until 35 weeks and slow down the contractions. And then the third medicine that was given to me was a steroid injection for the baby's lungs to develop faster. So ideally, they could stall out the labor until 35 weeks. I was currently 34 weeks and 4 days. So they hope to stall for at least 48 hours for the steroids to take effect for the baby's lungs development. And then if can make it to 35, even better. So they gave me those 3 medicines to try and stall labor. And at that point, only around 30 minutes later or so, the doctors actually transitioned me from OB to MFM. So all the doctors from then on out were actually MFMs because with modi twins, which means a twin, the 2 twins share 1 placenta, it is considered high risk, as with most twin pregnancies. But because they're specifically modi, it's even extra riskier because of the sharing of 1 placenta. So because of that, I met with the MFM, and right when I meet with the MFM, the first thing that he told us is, "I think that you're going to have a C-section just because there's acute TTTS that happens after delivery, especially with the umbilical cord. And we want to be the most conservative we can and not risk ourselves or the lives of the babies. And at this point, it was pretty shocking to me because I was never told about the risk of acute TTTS. And my OB actually didn't really go over too much about my birth plan and risks with me because we probably expected to wait until 30, at least 35 weeks to give labor. And so we didn't actually talk too much about it. But my OB in Issaquah did say that vaginal delivery is possible with Modi twins, which is true, and they're open to doing it, and all the OBs are more than experienced enough to do Modi twin vaginal birth. And my doula and actually the backup doula were even shocked to hear that Swedish Issaquah was open to doing it, since their level of NICU is also level 2, and they're known to be less of a hospital that does high-risk patients, but they accepted me, so they felt comfortable enough. But I guess Swedish First Hill is a little bit different, and I will be seeing an MFM from then on. So that was what happened. And then basically he also told us that the medicine that was supposed to help delay the labor, which is the pill that I was taking, is actually not studied too well, in the sense that there isn't really a lot of research backing up the fact that it delays labor. So then we actually stopped that. So we decided, okay, if labor continues, it continues. So they decided to just wait and see and hope that they can keep me in the hospital until 35 weeks and that labor just stalls on its own. And then craziness happens at around 3:30, 4 a.m. and my water broke on its own, which is insane because the medication that was supposed to stop or stall labor contractions seemed to not do anything. And then once I stopped taking it, my water immediately broke. So that was a crazy feeling. It was like a trickle of warm water at first down my leg, and then it just kept feeling like warm pee that wouldn't stop. So then I immediately called the nurse who was already in the room with me, and I was like, Hawa, can you help come look? And she was like, wow, okay, I see liquid on the ground. I'll go take pH test strips to see if it's amniotic fluid. If it is, it turns blue, the test strips. So then she went to go get it. She immediately came back and she put the test strips on the ground where the water broke. And she said, it's very blue. Your water is definitely broken. So I, not gonna lie, panic a little bit, but I go back to bed. We put on pads and everything. And then after that, they kind of just monitor me and they watch my cervix continue to dilate. They do cervical checks maybe every like few hours or so. But then after hearing that, another rotation happens with the MFMs. And then I meet another doctor. Her name is Dr. Wong, and she's incredible. She really walked through everything with me and was very clear and concise, and I felt like she totally knew her stuff, and she was very straightforward, which I really appreciate, actually. And she met with me, and then she told us that there actually aren't too many research risks for acute TTTS. So the first doctor really stressed that there's acute TTTS that happens right after delivery, especially after cutting the cord of the first baby. A lot of blood could drop once the cord is cut to the second baby, because you also have to wait for a lot of time before the second baby comes out potentially, and that leads to higher risks. And the risks were just TTTS, and then also potentially 1 to 6% is cerebral palsy, which could happen. So we were pretty scared hearing that. But then the doctor who came in afterwards, she's the attending, and the first doctor was a fellow. And basically, or not a fellow, the first doctor was a resident. And then the second doctor, Dr. Wong, is the attending MD, MFM. And so she basically said, yeah, there's not too much research actually on that. And it's not 1 to 6%. It's like much less than that, if anything. And she doesn't really see that. So then we were a little nervous because the first resident was telling us that all of the Modi twins he's seen delivered and that he's personally delivered at First Hill, out of all 15 of them were delivered by C-section. So it means 100% of the ones that he's seen were delivered by C-section. So then we asked also Dr. Wong if she's seen Modi twins being delivered vaginally, how often that happened, what was her success rate. And she basically said that she has delivered Modi twins vaginally. And she, although of course, would always choose the more risk preventative side and more conservative side, she has done it before and it's been successful. So we were more reassured that we could still try vaginal. So then we also knew that because there is a size discrepancy with the twins, if there is one, then we can't deliver vaginally. So for example, as long as the first baby is head down, is the number one criteria for a vaginal delivery of Modi twins. And then the second one is that the size discrepancy between the both of them need to be less than 20% in order to deliver. And Josie needs to actually be smaller than Lily, because Lily is the one that's actually head down and lower to my cervix. And Josie needs to be smaller than Lily by 20%. She cannot be bigger than Lily by 20%. Otherwise, it wouldn't work. And vaginal would not be possible because if the first baby comes out and is much smaller, then it would be a lot more effort to take out Josie because Josie's bigger. So then the cervix would have only accommodated the size of Lily. And if Lily is smaller, it could take a lot of time to get Josie out and Josie would get stuck, potentially. So that would also create a lot of risks because if she's stuck, then you could potentially go into emergency C-section and I would then go under general anesthesia because I would be under high risk and it's basically just crunch time at that point if that does happen. So we decided that we want to get an ultrasound as soon as possible. And at this point, I'm probably around 5 centimeters dilated, 5 to 6 centimeters dilated, and labor is progressing after my water broke. And I feel the contractions. My doula was absolutely phenomenal. Like, she really walked me through the breathing. Every single contraction we went through, she held my hand, she was holding my feet and just helping me visualize like waves as well and just really helping breathe with me. And I couldn't have been more thankful for that. It really helped me during those contractions when I didn't have an epidural. So when the ultrasound tech came after probably around an hour or so, we requested, or maybe it was around half an hour, we requested the ultrasound. They came over because we were waiting for the technician to have the right supplies and have the right ultrasounds. So then we got an ultrasound scan. That took around an hour. And they were looking at the anatomy of both babies to see what sizes they are. And that would help Lawson and me make the game time decision of whether or not we want to do vaginal or cesarean section. Because either way, if Josie was bigger than Lily by 20%, then our answer is already very simple. We would have to do a cesarean. But if Lily and Josie were around the same size, then I could actually do vaginally and the issue wouldn't be as risky. So we were waiting for the ultrasound results. And then by then, we pretty much were just waiting, doing the waiting game. So essentially, we were waiting for the results and playing the waiting game and seeing how that goes. And at that point, I did the cervix exam with Dr. Wong, and she said that I'm around 6 to 7 centimeters dilated. And so I talked to Lisa, my doula, and Lawson, and also my postpartum nanny and doula, who have been there with me the entire time, and they said that since either way I would need an epidural for vaginal delivery, and then for C-sections it's good to have an epidural in, because at that point, if I need to do a C-section, I can still be awake for it. Versus if I did not do an epidural, then they would have to likely put me under general anesthesia and I would be asleep if I didn't do any epidural at all. So at that point, I call for the epidural. The pain is still bearable, but I can definitely see that in an hour it would not be as bearable anymore, because I was still able to talk through and breathe through my contractions, but I've heard that it definitely gets worse, so I couldn't imagine waiting another hour in order to get the epidural. So we got it, and then at that point I'm around 7.5 probably to 8 centimeters dilated, and getting the epidural was honestly probably the hardest part of my labor, mainly because it took around 25 to 30 minutes, but it seemed like forever for me to get the epidural placed in. So the anesthesiologist said that it looked like a small amount of space between my spine, but then it ended up being more than expected. So then while I was curling up like a shrimp to get my epidural in, I I would hit a contraction every 2 to 3 minutes, and it would be a pretty painful contraction where I would have to tell them to pause because I would need to move around, or I would need to just really breathe and vocalize my contractions and just breathe through it. So then it was probably, honestly, looking back, the toughest part of the labor. The epidural itself didn't hurt at all to get, like the numbing shot, it was totally fine. But then the actual waiting and the placement of the epidural, the fact that I was like curled up like a shrimp and my stomach was so big already because of twins, and then needing to basically stay in that position for at least like 5 contractions was really hard. And those contractions lasted a couple minutes even. So it was pretty difficult to bear with that. And I remember I would like make a lot of like breathing sounds, like, and then humming sounds, and it was very, very difficult. But at the end of the day, we got through it, and she placed the epidural in after 25 minutes to 30 minutes, even. And then what was crazy was that right after the epidural, they were supposed to take effect, but I believe they told me that gravity is what helps with the epidural. And on the left side, I actually felt it. So I was laying on my left side. I felt it after maybe like 10 minutes or so. So I still had to push through a little bit of contractions. And then the thing is that the entire right side, I continued to feel all of it. Like all my contractions were still there. I was numb on the left side, but then on the right side, I still felt everything. So then they turned me around because of the gravity reason. And we tried that for another 10 minutes, but it didn't work. Like I was still feeling all the pain, and it was almost unbearable at this point because the contractions were so hard. And then my MFM doctor came in shortly after just to see how I was going, to do another cervical exam. And she also told me the ultrasound results that came back. And in the ultrasound results, she said that it was a 15% discrepancy between Lily and Josie. And Josie was much bigger than Lily, who's head down. So Josie in the ultrasound was 15% bigger than Lily, which means we were on pretty much the edge of the cutoff for being able to do vaginally. So then at that point, the doctors were like, okay, this is pretty risky because there's a 15% cutoff or 20% cutoff, and the discrepancy is 15%. So this is probably like the biggest discrepancy that they're willing to take, even though 20% is the actual cutoff. They've said that they would feel most comfortable with 15%, and they're still not sure whether or not it's a good option because there's so many risks involved. So with that said, it was almost like a game time decision of whether or not Lawson and I would do vaginal or C-section, because right after that, the doctor tells me that I'm 10 centimeters dilated and I am feeling all the contractions on my right side, and I need to decide whether or not we're going to do this vaginally or we're going to elect for a C-section. So I look at Lawson and I say, what do you think we should do? And then he says, I think we should do a C-section. I was honestly so sad at that point because I had the idea of wanting to do vaginal this entire time, and then C-section wasn't really in my birth plan, of course. But of course, like, considering all the risks, I wouldn't have changed a thing, honestly. And just knowing what we knew back then, it was the right decision that Lost and I both thought to do. And I think I would have completely regretted my decision if I chose to do vaginally, given all of the pros and cons of doing vaginal versus C-section. Basically, after deciding that it was crunch time, like all the doctors were in the room, and then all the NPs and everything like that were in the room because I need to get on that C-section fast since Lily was already head down and 10 centimeters. So she could come out any minute, basically, even if I like push a little bit, because she was 10 centimeters dilated and plus 1 station, which means she was already a little bit out. So with that said, I had to make that game time decision with Lawson. And then we actually had to wait 30 minutes. There's a 30-minute stall time between having epidural medicine in my body and taking a spinal block. So the reason why they recommended a spinal block was because my epidural wasn't working. And in order to go into C-section, there's really 3 options. You can go under general anesthesia, which means I would be completely asleep and miss the birth of Lily and Josie, or I could do a epidural and continue using the epidural but up the strength of it. And then after that, the third option was a spinal block. So then with the spinal block, they would need to take out my epidural completely and put in the spinal block in a completely different location because they're not the same kind of numbing medicine and they're not in the same location. So I decided, well, my epidural is not working because half of my side is still feeling all of the pain, all of the contractions. So I was already 10 centimeters dilated and it was pretty much game time. Like, we had to go and make a decision on whether or not we wanted to do a C-section or a natural vaginal delivery. And yeah, after talking to Lawson some more, we pretty much only had a minute or so to make a decision on what we wanted to do, since the ultrasound came in with that result when I was already 10 centimeters dilated and Lily's head was already plus 1 station, meaning she was ready to come out any minute. So we then decided to elect for a C-section, and pretty much the whole thing was like go. Like, the OBs rushed in, the MFMs rushed in, and the nurses rushed in, and they pretty much told my doula and Lawson, all right, it's go time. You have 2 minutes to get ready and change. We need to go now. Basically, pronto. So they wheeled my bed into the OR and immediately started performing surgery after my spinal block was placed in. And then, honestly, it was such a whirlwind. The C-section itself wasn't bad because I had a spinal block and I actually didn't feel that much at all. It was mainly just tugging, but I remember hearing cries from Lily and Josie, especially when they first came out, and then it was so chaotic inside the actual OR room. There were probably 16 people because they had around 8 team members per baby. So it was like MFM and then nurse and then NICU team and anesthesiologist, etc., doula, Lawson, and yeah, I guess total the entire people in the room was probably around, yeah, I guess 18, maybe even 20 people. So it was very, very interesting. It totally felt like a whole Grey's Anatomy kind of scene where it was really rushed and there were so many people talking over each other. And yeah, but we got it done and everyone was so amazing. The team was so phenomenal. And I'm so grateful for, yeah, what a incredible experience. I think being a mother is such an empowering and enlightening journey, and I think it's an honor. And just to see the people who are there for you, Lawson was there for me and he's been such a supportive dad throughout it all, and he's done a lot of skin to skin contact since I haven't been able to do that much after postpartum recovery. So he's been able to see the girls a lot and yeah, hold them and comfort them when they cry, and I'm sure they know his scent and his voice now, so it really touches my heart to know that. Lawson's such a great dad. And what's crazy about the whole journey, too, is that I feel like God has been so present throughout it all. Like, seriously, from the day that we conceived, or even before that, when Christine, our marriage mentor, prayed for us about having twins. And from the time we went to the ultrasound initially to find out we had twins, all the way up until now, like God has been so present with his timing and he's been so supportive and there for us through it all, like from the beginning all the way until now. Like, for example, everything had to come together. Like, my doula had to come right before my mucus plug got lost. And she literally came like the minute it got lost. And then she went home, but at least she was aware of it. So then she knew, hey, this labor could be impending versus in 4 weeks or something like that. So she pretty much had a timeline also. And then my postpartum doula, who flew all the way from SF to LA and then to Seattle, just happened to land literally the minute after I got my second mucus plug, like bloody show out that was much more dischargey, and which is what basically triggered us to go into triage in Seattle at the hospital. So yeah, there was just a lot of moving parts that had to happen, and I'm grateful for this entire journey. And yeah, it was quite an experience. Also, in the C-section, something crazy. In the actual room, because there's a light at the top for the MDs to be able to do the surgery, even though there's like a drape that covers the entire surgical procedure, when I looked up, I literally watched almost everything because I could just see scalpels and like blood and hands moving around. And although the drape was supposed to cover all of that, I was in a spinal block. So then I couldn't really move other than, of course, like move my head around. But even then, even if I moved it a little bit, I could still see the reflection of the actual surgery going on. So it was kind of a crazy experience.
It felt super rushed, like from the labor and delivery room into the OR, because Lily's head was like station +1, which means either she's like just a centimeter above the cervix or a centimeter below. So she so they were like, we have to go to the OR right now. Like, there's no more time, because if they waited more, like Lily would have started coming out on her own. So super fast. And they were talking about, before that, the doctors were talking about a planned C-section is much safer than an emergency C-section. And we were kind of taking our time and getting all the information. And we had just gotten the information about
the ultrasound and the sizes of them. And that was kind of like the last piece of information that we needed to make a decision on whether we were going vaginal or C-section. And they said that Josie, the upper one, was 15% larger than the smaller one. And right when we heard that, it's like, all right, it's
Too risky.
yeah, too risky. Like at 20%, they're not gonna perform a vaginal delivery. So 15%, we were getting close to that. Like the second baby's head is larger than the first baby, so even after the first baby comes out, so unlike singletons, where the like you just hear baby's got to be head down, you can't like pull breached. Like with twins, the first baby, the head has to be down, and then the second baby, even if the head is down, they say sometimes they'll pull from the legs. But then when you pull from the legs, like the head might actually get caught in the cervix because especially if the baby is bigger. So we were at that decision where, hey, the second baby's 15% bigger. We wanted to do a vaginal delivery so that it was just a vaginal recovery versus like a C-section surgery recovery. So we got the last piece of information of that 15% discrepancy, and then like a minute later, they're like, hey, they checked the cervix, and the cervix was like 10 centimeters. Baby was like partially out. So it was super quick. And then so in my mind, it was like, okay, like it kind of feels like it's becoming like a emergency C-section. So it was really scary to me. Because it felt like they didn't have all that time that they needed, and it felt rushed. So then they immediately unplugged all the wires on the bed that Jackie was on, and like they handed me the gown. They said change into it, and started like pulling the bed out like straight from a movie, and like wheeling her in, and like people were like pushing her like slanted over, just like pushing this cart as fast as they could, and then wheeled her into the OR. And I've never been in an OR before. Just walking in there, I was like, oh my gosh, like this could be a life-changing moment for me. And I was just thinking of like what's the worst that could happen? And the worst that could happen is like I lose my wife, and I lose the two daughters, and I just like kind of broke down, and the doula like comforted me, and it was like maybe like 5 seconds, but then I was like, all right, like we're in it. And Jackie was sitting on the table, and Jackie was like not freaking out at all. At least like this whole process, like Jackie has been super calm. So just like really crushing it. Yeah, and then I sat next to Jackie. They were making sure I wasn't recording, which I wasn't. And then it was a very successful surgery. Like when the
Babies.
yeah, when we heard the first baby come out and the first cry from Josie, like it also made me cry. So it was amazing just hearing life. And then the second baby too, seeing that life, and then looking over at Jackie, and the doula are just like talking. What do you guys talk about? Yeah, what does the doula?
Oh, she was just comforting me. She was like, this is amazing. Your baby girls are here. You've done it. You're a mom now. The surgery is going well. They're like doing the first layer. Your uterus is shrinking. Basically just talking me through what's going on, because obviously the MDs are busy doing the surgery, so they can't actually talk me through what was going on. But yeah, the doula was able to basically walk me through, and she held my hand throughout the whole thing. So again, we can be more grateful for such a great support team. And honestly, it's been a whirlwind of an experience. Like, we experienced both kinds of labors, and luckily we didn't have to actually do a vaginal pushing, so I don't have any tears, but we definitely made it to 10 centimeters and also had a C-section. So it was a very interesting experience.
And they stopped the epidural for 30 minutes. So at the 10 centimeters, you felt it for like 30 minutes, just raw.
And it wasn't even working like on half my body from 8 centimeters to 10 centimeters either. So it was wild.
Yeah. The person who did the anyways. CR. Anyways. Yeah, so if anyone has twins, I would highly suggest getting a doula. And the reason why, especially twins, is because there's only, let's say, like me and Jackie, there's only 2 of us. And when one of the babies is out, and then there's another baby that's out, and then there's Jackie, like, if it's just me and Jackie, we are in 2 different locations. So when I go over to one of the twins or go over to the babies, I'm not with Jackie anymore. So it's literally a physical presence location issue where just having the extra person, a doula, can be with Jackie while I'm with the babies, and when the dad's with the babies. So I was not a believer in doulas until I saw this, and now, at least for the first birth, if twins, I would highly suggest getting a doula.
Yeah, that was our birth vlog. We'll probably end up making another video about reflection and our thoughts on everything, because I think we're still processing it all. But thank you so much for tuning in, and we're just grateful for all the support and all the family that we've had so far, being there for us, visiting us, meeting Lily and Josie for the first time, and it's been such a phenomenal experience. I am down to have more kids after this. And I think that goes a lot to show, because yeah, birth can be so spontaneous and also uncontrollable, but it's such a beautiful thing. Like, God created life for a reason, and we're beyond blessed to be here right now with 2 girls, and they made it safely, and we're also here too. So this was all I could have ever asked for. And also, I did pray for a natural labor, and I got totally that. Like, I didn't need Pitocin to induce labor, or I didn't need a Folly balloon to break my, like, I didn't need anything to break my water or any of that to induce it more. So I'm grateful for that as well.
Yeah, women are amazing. I could not imagine doing any of that. And Jackie was so calm and just like really at peace the entire time. So praise the Lord, and thank you for the grand design of having women be the birthers.
Yay. I love you.
Love you.
Bon appetit. Lawson, what did we get for breakfast?
We got some spinach egg bites, sausage and link, sausage patty and link, and then some yogurt.
We're going to see the babies. We're about to see Lily and Josie. Lawson's been there many times, so this will be my 3rd time seeing them. So excited.
We are here visiting the long ways.
Let's try it.
Happy birthday, Lily and Josie.
For misos, some ramen, edamame, some another hamachi roll as well for you.
Dude, as much mercury as you can get.
Exactly.
Love.
Thank you, thank you.
It's a UV blanket to get rid of some bilirubin in her blood, so there's no jaundice.
It is day 4 of us in the hospital. We are getting discharged today. Getting discharged at 1 p.m. Jackie is healing super well. It's not ideal to not be able to take our babies home. However, NICU has been incredible. I knew nothing about NICU before this experience, and I'm so grateful for their care and all the ladies in there. It's only been ladies that have taken care of our kids. They've been very amazing, and I feel like it's a pretty self-selective crowd. So you really need to love children and be very compassionate to work in the NICU. So huge shout out to this NICU at Swedish Seattle and all other NICUs around the world. Thank you for taking care of our girls as we go home. Hopefully we'll get to, we'll definitely do whatever we can to try to come every day and do some skin to skin. And yeah, just spend time with the daughters. There's nothing more important than that right now, than to spend more time with them as they are contained in their isolation boxes at the hospital. So, but with that said, it's the safest place for them to be. They're being taken care of 24/7, have eyes on them, have monitors. So very grateful for this NICU and everyone's care. But today we are going to pick up the breast pump. Then after that, we are going to eat sushi today. In Kent. I went with Ama when Jackie was pregnant, and now that Jackie is no longer pregnant, we're gonna go eat some sushi. How do you feel about that, Jackie?